All right, let's move this little guy over here. Okay, good evening, guys. Tonight we're going to be talking a little bit about sharing your story, not only to into posts, but into your IG stories and posts and Facebook posts. Okay, so it's not necessarily like your why or your fitness journey. We're just going to take your daily activities and put them into sorry guys, I'm trying to see the chat. It says I'm recording. Are we good? Yes, I'm recording. It's taking your daily activities and turning them into posts and into stories, because I want you guys to know that you have unlimited content at your fingertips. And so often when I ask my coaches in particular, so I'm sure other people struggle with this as well, like, what is your biggest challenge? And they're like, I don't know what to post. I'm like, how? How do you not know what to post? Like, even if you lived under a rock, we could talk about what it looks like under that rock, okay? So using everything that happens in your activities during the day is how we're going to create and become a storyteller, okay? So I want everyone to get out a piece of paper, because until I did this, I was in that same boat. I did not know what to post about. And then one day I came up with something that really helped me kind of organize my thoughts and stay with what I needed, next in my postings. So I want you to find 5 to 9, and I know that's a super weird number, but due to Facebook or Instagram now, and it's in tiles, they're in sets of 3. So technically you don't want really more than 9 or it's gonna throw you off. So anywhere really from 6 to 9, and why I put 5 is because you can always use a quote. So some examples, what I use, and these are in order of priority. It was funny when I was running through this, Brad's like, what makes you think of those? I'm like, those are my priorities. Family first, then food, then my fitness. I love adventure, and those are like my boys' adventures, whether we're hiking, dirt biking, fishing, camping, and then my travel. I love to go everywhere. We travel a lot with Beachbody, but outside of that, it's like, I want to see Mount Everest, and I want to see the Grand Canyon, and those types of travel. Okay, and then self-care, because I think that's super important, whether it's reading or like, a massage or a facial or a pedicure, but also just time to myself. So when I find a moment alone, I'll post about it, okay? And motivation and inspiration, that's where all my quotes come into play. We'll take a look at some other Instagram tiles in a minute, but you will always have something. I was doing like a picture, a quote, a picture, a quote, and I got bored with it. My followers loved it. I got a lot of traction that way, but I got sick of trying to find the next quote. And so if it's not serving you, don't do it. Go do something else. So what I started doing is I'm doing 3 pictures and a quote, and I'm creating a diagonal aesthetics, which we'll talk about as well as we get going. And then lastly, I talk about business. And why I put it last is because my life revolves around my business. So it's very seldom that I have to do a straight business post. Can you guys mute yourselves unless you have something to say? Because I can't get out of my screen to do it. Because anytime I talk about my family, I'm talking about the business. Anytime I talk about my food, it relates back to the business. Fitness is obviously the business. My adventure, this business has been the greatest adventure of my life. So I get to sprinkle my business throughout my posts that, every once in a while I can just do a straight business post. But because my business is my life, I'm able to not make it its actual subcategory. So I have, I think, 7, if I count those right, including my posts. So I know I'm talking really fast, but because I ran through this once and I cannot keep it in 30 minutes because there's a lot to share. So I'm just gonna zoom through it, but put questions up in the chat and I will make sure we answer those. So, okay, so I used a preview app. It's just a generic tiles to talk about a few things, because you have your interests written down right now. So we're going to do a few things. But when I look at this is a total preview app of like if you were to try and get the checkerboard style. This is exactly what I used to have on my Instagram. And if I look at this, I'm like, okay, she likes food. She's got her friendship here. She has herself in the photos. She really loves nature and plants. Okay, great. So she has maybe 4 things. So that's great. You can do 4 if you really want to, but I would suggest upping it to 5 so you don't have to have so much food because it looks a little boring. But if you choose from your interests, on your last slide that you just picked, you can create a story. And what I mean by that is using what life was like before Beachbody to what it is now. You don't have to say, before Beachbody, my life was like, okay? Like, you gotta dig a little deeper there. And in my live a couple days ago, I talked about a salad because it was sitting in front of me. And it was a great analogy, and a lot of the coaches ran with that live and were able to talk about it. So we'll use that one, and then I'll give you a new one. For those of you that didn't hear the salad thing, my salad was sitting in front of me, and I was like, took a beautiful picture of my salad, and I was going to post it on Facebook, and then I was like, okay, so what would I say about this salad? So you got to create a story. I was like, okay, well, before Beachbody, this is just me talking into my phone at first. I always do it as a draft in notes. You can use the Plan app. It works really well, too. But if I talk it out in my notes, then I can correct and move things around and make it a really compelling post. But first, I just tell myself, 5 years ago when I started this, or before I started this fitness journey, my salad would have been deep fried chicken tenders smothered in ranch with a ton of cheese and as many croutons as I could fit on the plate. Okay? So that's what you want to tell your story about. Before I knew how to eat healthy, I was piling my salads with deep fried chicken strips and, full fat ranch and crazy amounts of carbs called croutons. And now that I know how to fuel my body correctly, I don't even miss that because I'm giving myself the nutrients I need by using full leafy greens, carrots, cabbage. I don't even miss the deep fried chicken strips. Like, that right there is people going to be like, I can do this too. I can eat like her. I don't need those deep fried chicken strips, because it's relatable. So once you, once you use that story from before, you're just making the quick comparison from before, who you were before, what you ate before, whatever was before to what it is now, and then find those relatable details. Talk to that girl that you were, right? Use those details because that is how people are going to relate to you and be like, I can do this too. So we can do another one. I like these to be kind of interactive. So that was like in my live, it was about my salad or my water. Like before I knew anything about my health and fitness, I thought water was something I just drank during a workout. I never knew I needed to consume X amount of ounces. Now that I put my fitness first or my health first, however you want to word it, whatever your target is there in your audience, I know now that I need to be drinking half of my weight in ounces of water to fuel my body correctly, to keep my skin healthy. And you could list 1,000 positives of why you should drink that much water, right? So I'm hoping you guys are understanding like my relatable details and the before and after of your story, or where you're at in your journey, okay? So another quick tip I just put on here is make sure your Instagram's linked to your Facebook, because then you can kind of alternate your posts between your, it links to your business accounts. So then your personal account, you can use and swap those vice versa. So you're doing less amount of work. Is that how you say that? And just switch your photos out, okay? That's going to be same content, same post, switch your picture. I do it all the time, and people think like I just post all day. But that's not true. I don't have time to do that. So why I have this grid here is I want you guys to see how pleasing that is to the eye with the quotes and the photos. She also has her interests. She has 4 instead of 5 or 7, but you can kind of see how it all ties together. So start thinking and looking at your own Instagram and seeing, am I doing these things that not only make it aesthetically pleasing to the eye, but that I always have those 7 interests to go back and post about. So when I look at mine, the last thing I posted about was family. So I'm like, okay, my next post doesn't need to be family. It could be Actually, I think it was food. But whatever, you know, like I can go through my list and be like, I haven't talked about travel in a while. I have a huge trip to Orlando coming up. I should probably talk about that. I could use a stock photo of Disney and throw a filter on it and make it amazing and talk about the freedom I get to use with utilizing this business and get my butt to Orlando. Things like that, okay? So before Beachbody, I didn't get to travel. It was always something I wanted to do. And now, due to this incredible opportunity, I've been halfway around the globe, you guys. Like, we get to travel a lot in this business. So that would be something I would talk about in creating that story, okay? Let's see. Okay, so this is kind of what I've been talking about when you post the journey from then to now. And I don't mean your journey as far as like your fitness journey. That's its own journey in itself. That's something you're on. And yes, share that, definitely. But I want you to talk about the journey without a specific destination, like ending destination, right? We're going to talk, it's almost like the process, right? You have to talk about where you were prior, where you are now, and where you see this going. And you're not going to have a finish line. And I think it's super important that you talk to people about that being a lifestyle change. And we don't know where it's going, but we're doing the best and knowing that we're giving ourselves the best, health and fitness wise in order to do that. Okay. Another thing you need to be talking about within your story, these are all just like tidbits and bullet points that you need to come back to when you don't know what to post and don't know what to be putting in your daily stories. We're going to go over that in a little bit too. But talk about your transformation. And I don't mean a before and after photo. So many times that gets like confused. Beachbody for me, I was brought into this community because I had a major health scare. It's kind of been a full circle moment for me lately, but if you're not healthy, you're going to know it. And if you talk about like, I thought I was the healthiest thing on the planet until you run a few blood tests, and guess what? I'm not. There's things that need to change. Things have to be fixed. So if you can talk about your transformation just in your health and how maybe your cholesterol's lower or your mental health. I thought personal development was for crazy people. You all know my story with that. The physical transformation, that's where your before and after comes in. The financial transformation. You guys, I was able to close my storefront studio and come home to my kids. Like, I was just at a birthday party dinner and I'm like, I gotta go do a call. Come back and be right back. I'll be back in 30 minutes. And the freedom it's created that, okay, financial, I'm also got my kids into the best private school in 3 counties. And I'm like ecstatic that 1, I can afford that without freaking out. But 2, I have the freedom to not only get them there, but pick them up. Not just the money, but the reason that I'm like, I don't have to be a slave to a 9 to 5 to pay for that. I have the freedom within this business and making a living to also take them to school, pick them up, help in the classroom, all those things. So those are all things you should be talking about. And when we're just talking about the post, this is like when you're going to do the super long in-depth post. We're going to talk about stories in a minute. But I want you right now to think about something you're super passionate about. I don't care what it is, really. For me, mine is my kids. I'm sure for a lot of you, but go a little deeper than that. Think of something like, I'm really passionate about the old lady soccer that I play in a women's league, okay? I want you to write about that post. I want you to just talk in your notes like I told you earlier. When you're done, this is your homework. And don't put it to a photo right away. I think a lot of times we think we have to have this perfect photo and then we try to think of a caption or what we're going to put with that photo, and it hinders what you say because you're trying to fit the picture. If you just talk and just be super passionate about it, you'll find the picture. You can go back. I don't care if it's last season's soccer girls or the season we won the championships and use a picture from there. Let's just start with the subject first and get super passionate and deep about it, and then find the picture to post it. Because sometimes we do that backwards and we lose the depth of what we're trying to convey to our followers, okay? Another thing, this was just on a call I was on today, which is so funny because I had just put this together. A lot of this material is from Leadership Track at Summit with Bonnie Engel, but we need to be introducing ourselves often, okay? Just in January, I stepped it up, and then the last 3 months, I was like, I'm going to grow my following. I want a goal of 10,000 followers by the end of the year. That's huge. I was at like 2,500, and I'm at 6,200 now. So I've really put like a huge focus on my following. And I was looking back, I have not introduced myself or told my story on my Instagram since maybe March, which is crazy because I probably have 2,500 new followers since then who don't know my story, and they don't want to scroll back to March. There's probably 500 posts from now to then. So make sure you're introducing yourself more often than you think you should, especially if you're growing your following. Teach something new without giving it away. So often, okay, in one of my challenge groups, we put up this one pan amazing chicken fajita dish, 20-minute dish, all one pan. And the very next day, I saw 3 of my coaches posted on their stories giving away the whole recipe. And I messaged them privately and I said, wouldn't it be rad if you like gave a picture of the ingredients and wrote a little thing on your story or even in your post, but don't give away the whole recipe. When they want the recipe, say, hey, it's a perk of joining my group, okay? So it's okay to teach something or give someone a principle of something. But when you give it all away, 100%, like you have to keep one little token of it so that one, they keep following you, maybe to hopefully come up with the rest of it, or fall in there somewhere to maybe join your group, okay? So teach something, but don't give it all away. Joel said it perfectly with like, it's just like the kiss on the first date. Don't give it up on your first date. You know, nobody likes that. And Joel Freeman said that about his workout, so it cracks me up. I always go back to that. Show your process. Make sure that you're showing not just your workouts, but your whole process. Melissa does a really great job of this. Every morning it's like her devotion, you know, like this is her daily process. This is her daily process of her becoming who she is as like a sober, busy sports mom. She's branded herself so well with that in her post. Everybody knows that she reads a devotional. Like, not just because I follow her, like you could ask anybody that knows her name, they're like, oh, she's into devotion. So if you show the processes throughout your day and you become consistent with them, it will eventually establish a brand, okay? So you have to use that not only in your stories, because we remember we're not really talking about stories yet, we're talking about posts, but if you take your 5 things, and I'm sure church or faith is one of Melissa's 5 to 7 things, she's going to show her process about that, okay? So that's why she's a great example. Mine, you know, my food processes are immaculate. My fitness processes are immaculate. So I'm just telling you there's a lot of different things within your 5 to 7 interests that you can show a process on. Always ask for action. We talk about call to actions all the time, and I don't feel like everyone fully understands what I mean by that. Essentially, I'm going to use a bad word, so go ahead, cover your ears or earmuffs, but like you got to call people on your shit, okay? You can't just go along and then be like, well, you know, yeah, if you want to join my thing, you're like, no, are you sick of weighing 100 pounds? Do you want to lose 85 pounds? Like if you go back and ask Lisa how my original conversation started with her, and she's like, I don't think it'll work. I eat low carb. And I was like, well, are you willing to trust the process? Like, are you willing to do what it takes to make it happen? That's what I meant, ask for action. I'm asking her to show up to this. And if she's going to show up, I'm going to meet her right where she's at. I'm going to get her those results that she wants. But if if you're not ever going to ask her for action, she doesn't have an expectation to know what you guys are wanting. So make sure that you ask for action. A great one, this was also on today's training, to show more you. I scroll through my Instagram and I'm like, if I put another selfie on there, I think people are going to just quit following me. Like today, I have no makeup on, I look horrible, I feel like crap. Why would I want another picture of myself? You know why? Because it's real. So even if the other day I did a live and I was like working from bed and I had like tissue hanging out of my nose, like I don't just mean the ugly parts of you. Show the great parts of you. Show all the parts of you. But make sure that in there, in those 7 interests, that people see your face. Because if you look at why people follow you, they don't want to see your yard. They don't want to see a landscape. They don't even want to see your food, really. I mean, unless you're really good at food. They don't want to see that. They want to see you. They want to connect with who you are as a person, okay? So make sure you're showing more of you. I have no idea where we're at time, but hopefully we're not running out. So look for reasons to find connection so that you can communicate, okay? So often people ask me for scripts, and it seriously drives me insane because I'm like, I can't connect with you with a script. what you need to do is look through their stuff, be diligent about your followers, and when you start looking at like, okay, I have 57 line wives in my, active feed of people. I'm going to do a post that's going to create connection about being nervous about storm season coming up, or these crazy 100-degree Indian summers that are happening because my husband's going to be gone. Who does that connect to and communicate to? The other line wives who are craving this community. That's just one of my examples, but it works the same for firefighters. It works the same for, oil riggers. It works the same across the board. You could even make that generic and talk just about how stay-at-home moms lack community, right? So all these things, why I end with establish your brand, is because that's what you're doing. You're going to establish who you are in a genuine way that makes you and your brand stand out. So with that comes the aesthetics. You're going to want to, I'm sure you've heard this 1,000 times, so if you haven't done it yet, I suggest you do it tonight as homework, write it down. Go get yourself a filter. I don't care if you have to purchase it on Etsy or use that acronym. I don't even remember what it is because I bought a filter a long time ago, made 100 filters, whatever it is. Go find a filter and establish what your page aesthetics are going to look like and stick to it for a month, 2 months, 3 months. If you hate it, change it. But in the meantime, you need to create a consistent look of your page and your brand. Levi's, you guys, if I say Levi's, it's a red little weird tab looking thing that says Levi's in white. You want to be that noticeable as your brand. Okay, so for your stories, those were posts. Hopefully you guys are hanging in with me because I am going fast. For your stories, the main thing I can tell you guys is being consistent. Wake up and do a post. Talk about your morning. Not a post, a story post, whatever. But make sure, I would much rather you guys, if all you have time for is like 3 little snippets, story things a day, do them morning, noon, and night. Don't come in and post 50 in a row, because when it shows up, the person watches the one of those within that time frame, and guess what? They don't see the rest of them if they scroll to the next person. It marks as read and goes on. So you want to make sure you have a little bit of time between each story. Unless someone follows you and is going to sit through and click through your stories, you might just get pushed to the next one. Another good tip is to start with you. When you start your day, it's great to start with your coffee cup. I know you guys wake up looking amazing, but if you could maybe do a side profile or something that is going to show it's you, because when the person gets done watching one story, it rolls into the next, and half the time they don't know that they've switched stories. They're thinking, if Monica Lopez is your first person and you're watching her and then it goes on to the next and now I see devotional, I'm like, wait, am I still on Monica's or is this Melissa's? Because this is totally Melissa's heart, it'll just roll to the next person. So make sure you put a picture with you, even though your mornings might not be your best. Start with you. Engagement. All I mean by this is don't be boring, okay? It's great to sometimes I show the sunrise. People are like, great, another sunrise. Or when it's a really pretty sunset and everybody puts the sunset. Think outside the box to create engagement that people are going to be like, oh, what is she doing? Right now, it's super fun. People are doing those. I even said I would probably never dance because some people get a little too much into it. But do your energized dance parties. Use that because people are like, what are these people doing dancing in their kitchen right now? Okay? Think outside. Go bigger. Go beyond and make your engagement intriguing and mysterious so people are like, this girl is crazy. I'm going to figure out what she's doing. Okay? The polls in the question boxes. Up in the top, you guys should all know this, where you would put text. There's the little emoji or those squares. Check those out. I don't have music, so I have to move everything into Triller, which, whatever, I'm living with it. I've messaged them 1,000 times, but it's okay. Most of you have music, so set music on there. Use all those little emoji cons where you can set up a poll. Just ask people. It doesn't even have to be fitness related. The best question one I had that created ridiculous engagement on my post was I was leaving for soccer practice and I took a poll. I did a question. I said, here's the deal. My husband and I were sitting there and he said, you're late for soccer. And I said, no way, it doesn't start till 6. And he said, it's 5:45. I go, exactly. I'll leave in 5 minutes. It takes 7 minutes to get there. And he's like, no, you leave the house with 15 minutes so you have time to get ready. So I took a poll, like, if soccer starts at 6, it's 5, what time do you leave for soccer practice? And I got so many people's opinions, it was insane. So don't think that it always has to be about, like, do you want to join my group? Do you want this recipe? Do you want, start thinking, like, what can I give these people in a sense of value with that I need nothing back from? And that will help you start doing questions and polls that are a little more engaging, and you're going to get a better response, which are going to make you show up in their story feeds more often. Another amazing one that works well for me is I always offer small steps. So I'll offer like a free sample of Energize. I've even done Shakeology, especially with pumpkin spice coming out. That's like one of my things. I'm like, oh, who's ready? On my story, and I have some pumpkin spice left over. Oops, I was just gonna upgrade that. Let me see. Now I don't know where my thingy went. I don't know. Where's Keynote? There we go. Okay, so anyway, offer a free little giveaway. Using our products is the best way to do it because you get volume off of it. Make sure you're tagging your locations. When I tagged Southern California, I tagged that personal trainer that was in California. Yes, Taco Tuesday, way to go. Okay, so make sure you're using your daily life tidbits, okay? Be true to yourself and what's you. Don't copy other coaches. I hear all the time, I just looked at what so-and-so did and I turned it around and did mine. And I'm like, but does that really say you? Is that really genuine to you? And then use apps. So that's like when I mentioned Triller, use filters, not the Instagram filters, use apps that create those filters, even if it's like, WordSnap or Snapfish or whatever those are. Go out there and research the apps you like to use that are going to help you. Oh my God, that thing tried to freak me out. There's 8 minutes left. Totally doing good. Okay, so I want you to think about it like this. Consistency is going to start with your topics. If we go back to those 5 to 7 interests, those are like your interests are your topics, right? I want you to create suspense. What you're going to post about in your stories, when you do this, like Airbnb does a great job right here, okay? When you do something like this, do not post them bing, 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 back together. Like wait 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Doesn't have to be a long time, but there's a little down arrow. If you do this one and like hit the down arrow, you can add to it. That's how I really like to do it. But doing things like hint, hint, where am I? I was walking the dog. I did something similar to this because I researched other high traffic followers, which is Airbnb is a huge one. So I was like, hint, it's 100 degrees outside, hint. And I had like the dog, I'm walking the dog. And then I was like, can you guess where I'm at? And I had me like standing on a kind of like a trailhead. And then I said, boom, I'm at Mount Connecticut. Okay. So this created a poll. I got to use a location tag, and I created suspense that created people to get impressions to look through my story. That's what you want. You want people to click through your story. Okay. So think about what you can do. It doesn't even have to be a hint, but if you can do like a suspenseful lead up to something, that is going to create more suspense for your audience, and they're going to want to tune into what your stories are telling. Okay, so we're going to go back to this. Make sure that your storefront, which is like the first 9 tiles of your Instagram, have amazing eye appeal. And this should be for your Facebook as well. Facebook kind of works as they only see one post at a time. So it's, not laid out. So it's not going to matter if the filter's the same every time. But you want to make sure like you're well lit. Like right now, this is horrible lighting. I even have a rim light. I've complained about the lighting in this room forever, but whatever. Make sure that you're using filters that don't make you look washed out or grainy unless that's like what you're going for, okay? Pick one that's going to work in all types of situations. Don't pick the real tropical blue filter if you're inside all the time. Like, unless you live on water, you probably don't want that one. But some people do, but it makes you look green, so maybe not. Think about appealing. Go look at other Instagrams. Go see what other, not just coaches. Like I look at like Airbnb. They were super small and they blew the freak up, you guys. Their Instagram went from like 100 followers to 250K so fast. If you Google like the fastest growing Instagrams, they're one of them. They're actually like one of the top 3. Go look at what they do in their stories. And exactly what I do is I'll watch one of theirs. Instead of watching Melanie Mitro's, I'm going to watch Airbnb's because I want to be completely different from Melanie. I want to make sure I'm appealing so people come to me as their coach and not Melanie, okay? So appealing goes right with attractive. Make sure you're taking, I don't want to say flattering photos because camera angles really help, but make sure what you're posting is true to you. Like, I don't know, my kids go to Catholic school. I might not want one with my boobs hanging out or whatever. Like attractive doesn't mean like sex appeal. Attractive means attractive to who you are wanting to attract, okay? Pleasing, that goes with your colors, your scheme of your tiles, and that's aesthetics as well. It all comes back to your consistency. If you keep those topics that we talked about when I first made you write those down, those are what you're going to go back to when you're like, I'm having a rough day, because we all do this, and we're like, I don't know what to post. I don't know what to post. What am I going to post about today? And you go back and you're like, well, yesterday I posted about food, so today has to be family, travel, adventure, business, whatever's from your list, right? If it was food, you got to pick one of these other ones. So I keep them on my whiteboard right there, and I sit down and I need to make a post. I've got it, okay? And then pick your layout and make it look pleasing, and then have fun in your stories, guys. That's where you can put all the BS. That's where you can put, like, I had a picture of, like, I was trying to fit into my old jeans, and I was, like, bubbling out of them. And it's like, oh, my God, do you guys feel like this? I'm feeling like this after summer. You guys want to join my group? Let's fit into our jeans. Those kind of things. Have fun. Laugh at yourself. But not on your storefront. Keep it for your stories. Take polls on that. That's funny. Laugh at yourself. But make sure you're using it in a way that is going to be attractive and appealing, okay? And I just love this quote, so that's what I want to end you guys with. Creativity is intelligence having fun. So just keep it smart and make it fun, and you guys will never run out of creativity, okay? So you should have 100 posts set now for the next week. Just kidding. I don't know how long. But it looks like I finished in record time and have 3 minutes left. So if you have any questions about stories or polls, or maybe other, brands to follow, please, by all means, I'm an open book. Let me have it. Yell at me, whatever you want. Or if anyone has anything to say in general, you're welcome to say it. Stop my share. Get a picture. No, you guys are quiet? Should have took the time. Do you guys feel comfortable on your stories? Do you ever, what do you mean, who was it? Lisa Cockerton. Is that what you're talking about, my 85-pound weight loss, Mindy? Who was it, you said? Something else? Oh, I don't remember the fastest growing one. I went with Airbnb because there was a lot there. Google it. Yeah. You bet, Nicole. Anytime. Sure, Vanessa. I hope I helped you guys. Like, I took a poll on the team page of what you guys wanted me to talk about, and a lot of people said they had a hard time of like what they put on their stories and what to construct those deep posts about. So I'm hoping your topics will start with, like, that's what helped me, and I literally write them down here in a list. And whenever I overdo a fitness post is usually what I overdo, or food, because that's my world. I'll go back and be like, I gotta find a picture of my kids, and then go back to that cool one about writing something you're super passionate about. Write that out first and find the picture later, because so many times I think you take a cool picture, it's you in front of that brick wall, and you're like, what am I gonna say about this picture? I did it at Summit. I'm like, I love this picture. I don't know what to even put into words with it, right? So I decided, throw that out, and I'm going to write about something I'm passionate about, okay? And construct the post first, and then go back and find a photo that matches kind of what you're talking about. And it can be from a long time ago. Doesn't matter. Yeah, Melissa's taco video. Okay, so we're less than a minute now. So if there's no questions, I will tell you guys all thank you. I'm sorry we were a half hour behind. I had to move it back a little bit because of the birthday. But I love you all, and I'll see you next week.